Start. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وأفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد اللهم صل صلاة كاملة وسلم سلاما تاما على سيدنا محمد الذي تنحل به العقد وتنفرج به الكرب وتقضى به الحوائج وتنال به الرغائب وحس الخواتم ويستسقى الغمام بوجهه الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لمحة ونفس بعدد كل معلوم لك اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى اللهم إنا نسألك عفو والعافية في الدين والدنيا والآخرة توفنا مسلما والحقنا بالصالحين اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وقلبا خاشعا ولسانا ذاكرا وشاكرا وتوبة نصوحا اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع وقلب لا يخشع ودعاء لا يسمع وعمل لا يرفع ونفس لا تشبع رب زدني علما وفهما والحقنا بالصالحين رب يسر ولا تعسر رب تمم بالخير لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My respected brothers and very respected sisters, Jazakumullahu khairul jaza for joining us this evening in this cold, beautiful Melbourne evening on this Friday night in Melbourne, Australia, in this Coburg Islamic Center. I welcome you all and all our brothers and sisters and the families who are watching us over the internet live. Welcome. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah and khair into our learning this evening. Make our night a blessed one, our learning a blessed one inshaAllah ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless your families, your loved ones, both in this world and hereafter inshaAllah ta'ala. We have been going through the 54 fara'id as enumerated by the great Imam of the Tabi'een, Imam Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah. We have been going through at the moment fard number 7. Fard number 7, we went through all of them before, number 1 to 6. It is none other than to consume halal foods and drinks. Making sure this covers the topic of halal earnings. This covers the topic of halal dress. What you wear must be also from halal source. And we went through and explained many aspects. One particular aspect we always repeat right at the beginning of this particular topic is this particular hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Man akala luqmatan min haramin, lam tuqbal lahu salatun 40 laylatan, ولم تستجب له دعوة 40 صباحا وكل لحم ينبته الحرام فالنار أولى به وإن اللقمة الواحدة من الحرام لتنبت اللحم صدق رسول الله فيما قال أو كما قال. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, he who consumes even a small portion, a small morsel, a small amount of haram food into his system, into his body, he eats. His salat will not be accepted for 40 days. And his dua will not be accepted for 40 mornings. In other words, he will not get any barakah, any hasana from doing his salat, his ibadah, a dua. And every haram morsel shall become a part of his body and flesh, a cell at the lowest level in the body, which becomes deserving of the fire of Jahannam. Na'udhu billah. For verily a single haram morsel will produce flesh. Whether you like it or not, everything turns into an energy source, and it is fed into ourselves. Into ourselves. So haram luqman, haram morsel, is something that is pivotal in our understanding of our deen, in our practicing of Islam, in our taqwa, in our husn al-khuluq, in our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there is an atom's weight of haram into our earnings, into our food, the food that we bring home to our children, don't expect any khair from those children. Don't come and complain to me that your children are disobedient, because you are doing the wrong thing in the first place. You are feeding your children, which will make sure that they will end up in Jahannam with your own hands. So a Muslim has to be 100% vigilant when it comes to this issue. So we went through many of the topics, from eating dhabiha, halal foods. We went through what type of foods we can eat, what we cannot eat, the animals, the slaughtered animals, fish, who live in the animals that live on the land, the animals that live in the sea. We went through all the ahkam. And last week we have discussed two things. One was zakat, to whom the zakat is given, and some people receive zakat where they do not deserve, and they misappropriate zakat, and this is a haram source of earning. As part of the halal source of earning and haram source of earnings, we were discussing the zakat income. And we also looked at the contentious issue that some people requested, that the issue of begging in the Muslim world as well as here in different modern sense of the word. We went and looked at all of these ahkam according to Sharia, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us. And inshallah, as I promised this week, I will be going through with you the concept of luqata. Lost and found, luqata. As Muslims, alhamdulillah, we are required to practice our deen. We are also required to practice our deen with knowledge. And this knowledge comes from fiqh, sharia, from Islamic sources, Quran and Sunnah. We are required to know and apply the Islamic rulings when we come across a lost and found item. Any article, anything that is lost and found that comes into our possession, we are required to know the ahkam of it first in order to apply it. This particular topic, for those who are interested further, study on this particular topic, they can refer to the major textbooks in every madhahib, Hanafi, Shafi, Maliki and Hanbali, under the heading of Kitabul Luqata or Kitabul Babul Luqta. You would find that under the chapter heading of Lost and Found, Luqata, you would find all the ahkam. So I highly recommend for you to get a reliable source in English, maybe Reliance of Traveller in English for Shafi'i madhahib the followers, and perhaps Nur al-Idah and others, Al-Ikhtiyar for, or Hidayah for the Ahnaf. Of course, Malikis have different books. You can also have a look at them, inshallah. They are main fiqh books. The word luqata means a lost property, an article lying on the floor, on the ground, on the road, or anywhere for that matter, found by someone, and that someone picks it up. This is called luqata. If you don't pick it up, just walk by, that's not luqata. It's none of your business. But the moment that you picked it up, that particular article, that particular property, living or dead, animate or inanimate object, becomes luqata. And the ahkam accordingly changes. In Sharia, in Islamic law, the lost and found luqata is dealt with under two main headings. One is minor, insignificant findings. When you found something that is absolutely minor. For example, you walked into a place where people, there's an orchard in Shepperton somewhere, and people went through and picked up all the fruits from the trees, but they left about 5, 10 on the ground, which they do not even look at it anymore. Some seeds or something unimportant to them, they left it there. If you were to pass, they gave you permission to enter their orchards, and you pick and choose some walnuts and some peaches or something else. And they do not give any significance to this one. This is halal for you to take. So this is not considered as luqata. This is for anybody to take. Or you see on the road, on the side of the road, going to Adelaide. Many of our brothers are very famous in this, especially the Lebanese. They know where all the pistachios are on the side of the road, where they grow on the side of the road. So they just, it's a queen's, what do you call it? It's a crown land. So they just go and pick and eat. Doesn't belong to anybody. So this is not a found property. This is a property that is available for everybody else. The second type is the one that we have to consider, something that is of major, something of worth, something of value, something that people who lost it will come and definitely look for, something that has value. This is something that we have to look at. Therefore, a mukallaf Muslim, a Muslim, not a child, who is not responsible for his actions yet, a mukallaf Muslim, a responsible Muslim, when he comes across a particular situation where he has a choice of picking it up or not picking it up, he has 4 options to himself. He has 4 options to choose from, depending on the situation. So inshallah, we will go through this very briefly. The first option is haram option. Meaning, if you cannot trust yourself not to betray the trust of that particular article by appropriating it to yourself without telling anyone. In other words, you just want to keep it in your pocket and don't tell it anyone. Then it is haram for you to pick it up. For example, there is a beautiful iPhone or an iPod sitting on the side of the table at school at lunchtime, maybe somewhere else. For you to pick it up and just put in your pocket, no one's looking, and you want to keep it for yourself, you don't intend to return this to the owners, this is haram to pick it up in the first place. This is haram to pick it up. A beautiful brand new laptop. Somebody left it at work, at station. Nobody knows. Brand new, still in the box. You took it without the intention of, to take it without the intention of returning is haram to do so. So if you do not trust yourself that you're going to do the right thing, it is better for you to not to take it. And if you know that you're going to misappropriate it, and you're going to take it for yourself and put it and you use it yourself, then it becomes haram for you to take it. Clear? Clear. A given second situation. If you trust yourself, you're an honest person, you're a person, a Muslim with dignity, if you were to take this particular property or this article, this object of value, you will take the appropriate measures to take this article. If you don't take this article, definitely it's going to be wasted. Definitely some sort of menace is going to come to it. A harm is going to come to it. It's going to be misappropriated by the inappropriate people, so to speak. And you can 100% sure, you can assure yourself that you will return this particular product back to the owners. In that case, it is wajib, Islamically wajib for you to take it and return it to its owners. There is the condition. First, you trust yourself. You're not going to put it in your pocket and use it for good. And second, and there is a danger that this particular item, this article, this animal, this bird, this cat, this dog is going to die and perish. Okay? And you know that you can return it because there's an address, there's a passport you just found, an ID that you have found, a wallet that you have found. Then it is wajib for you to take it and do the right thing. Because there is a danger that that will be wasted, that will be damaged. Third option is the mandub, the mustahab, liked option, preferred, perhaps hasan, beautiful option. If you can trust yourself to take the proper measures, to take the article which might otherwise be, might is the word, maybe it might be damaged or misappropriated or lost or something will happen to it. You say, maybe there's a chance because the wind is coming. The animal will die or something. So you just take the animal or that particular, the item, that article, and keep it for keeping, follow the appropriate ahkam for it that I'm going to talk about in a minute, so that inshallah with the intention of returning to the owner, this is also mandub, this is something ahsan, something good to do. The mubah type, the fourth one, if you believe the article will not be wasted or harmed in any way, if you did not pick it up from its place, it's standing there. And better still, there is perhaps somebody behind you coming afterwards who is more responsible. A person is more muttaqi than you are, who will pick it up and 100% sure that it will be returned to the right owners. In this case, you have the option of either picking it up or just leaving it behind. As simple as this. You're in the mosque, nobody will touch, there's a wallet, or there's a very expensive watch or something, or telephone is found. Okay, you saw you making wudu, for example, downstairs, and you saw the expensive watch. You don't touch it. Or you take it and give it to the imam or the caretaker of the mosque, so that they will make the necessary announcements or put the appropriate the advertisement on the board, and the people will come and claim their watch. You have the option either to touch it or not to touch it. Take it or not to take it. This is mubah to do so. So far so good. After picking up, imagine that we already passed through that stage of decision making. We made a choice of, and we're a trustworthy person, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, and we have picked up that particular item. An expensive watch, an iPod, a telephone, something that is a mobile phone, or something that is really of value, and the owner is really looking for it. We picked it up. According to our deen, according to our sharia, according to Islam, we need to immediately do two things. One is called ishhad. In other words, ishhad means to have witnesses, or one witness, or witnesses to attest to his having found it. So, brother, look, I found a wallet. Brother, look, come. I found an iPod, or a watch, or some item. Look, I found it. And appropriately, and perhaps better still, immediately after this, people are witnessing. Before the ishhad, it is highly recommended that the finder determine the type, the description, and the amount of the article he has found. Its container, how it looks. The string which was, if there was a string, it was tied with. It is preferable even to record this on a piece of paper. You'd say you don't forget about it afterwards. I found an iPod with white background, with 40 gigs of memory, and it has, what do you call, it's brand new, it's 3G or whatever they say it is called, and you just write it down. I found a Rolex watch with this description. I found a box of apples with this particular shape and form. You write it down so that you don't forget about it. This is also adab, part of the ishhad. The second step is for you to make i'lan, for you to advertise, for you to announce to people in the appropriate manner. In the olden days, when Islam was in full practice, when the Muslims lived in Muslim communities, there were two places that usually Muslims frequent to. One was the masjid or masajid, and the other one was the marketplace. So you go and make an announcement or put a poster of some kind that you have found an article, and you give certain little the prescription, or not prescription, description of it. And you say, I have found a Rolex watch. Okay, Rolex watch. And anybody who lost a Rolex watch of $25,000, they'll be coming and looking for. But there are so many different Rolex watches. I found an iPod. What kind of an iPod is it? They've got no idea. Just, I found an iPod. Those who have lost it, please come and see me. At the masajid or in the, in the marketplaces. In Australia, this is a different story. In our daily lives, you can put an advertisement in the Age newspaper or the Herald newspaper or your local newspaper that you have founded. Or if it's something really, really bad, if it's something that you cannot identify, that there is no name or address on it, it's better still perhaps you go and take it to the police and give it to them and they will deal with it. But if you know that the police is going to just take it because it's one of those things that perishable or something, or they're going to check it in the rubbish bin or something, they're not going to honor this particular item, then perhaps you should make an announcement perhaps on certain roads, certain newspapers, or on the internet, or something that you know of in the area, that you will probably get the owner back to you. You need to make i'lan, you need to advertise. You need to definitely advertise. How long to advertise? How do you advertise? We have talked about. Firstly, in the initial week, you need to do it twice a day. One in the morning and one at night. And the second time, it's once every week. Second month. And after that, it is the once every month you do it. For how long? Ya Latif, this is bala. This is problem. I thought I was going to help somebody. But what's going to happen to me now? One whole year. This is actually dependent on the urf, the custom of the people around. I mean, nobody keeps a watermelon for 1 year. Correct? Nobody keeps some lousy $2 watch for 2 years in their possession. And you keep on, it's going to cost you more to advertise than anything else. Right? Now, i'lan has to be made, but where do you get this from, bro? How do you get these ahkam from? The hukum, the rulings. It's all from Quran and Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are two. There are actually literally dozens of hadith in this regard in the hadith books, that I have only taken two, just the meaning of it. Where, firstly, in Sahih Bukhari, volume 3, book 40, number 560, that's exact reference, narrated by Zayd ibn Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anh. He said, a man came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, asked about al-luqata, something that is lost and found, a fallen thing. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, recognize its container and its tying material, the rope, and then make a public announcement about it for 1 year. If its owner shows up, give it to him. Otherwise, use it as you like. This is a hadith of Rasulullah. How long? This 1 year concept comes from the hadith of Prophet ﷺ. But the ulama, they say this is depending on the urf. Some people will never keep something for 3 months, more than 3 months, or more than 5 months. The man said, what about a lost sheep, Ya Rasulullah? Some sort of a goat or some lost sheep wandering around. Then Rasulullah ﷺ says, it is either for you or your Muslim brother, the owner, or the wolf. It's going to be perish. It's on its own if you left it, because sheep needs looking after. Goat needs looking after. Therefore, he says you keep it for your brother, if you want to give it to your brother. Or after going through this process of advertising and what have you, nothing happens. And then you keep it for yourself. Or, in the case, if you don't take it, he says if you leave it, if it perishes, the wolf is going to eat it. Then the man asked, how about a camel, Ya Rasulullah? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, actually, according to one particular version of this hadith, he became angry. It's a silly question. I mean, can you imagine losing a bus? I lost my bus, bro. Have you seen my bus? In the car park, I lost my bus. That's over there. That's your bus. You can't miss a bus. You can't lose a bus unless you suffer from amnesia or something. In the case of a camel, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, leave it alone. Why should you take a camel as it has got its own water container? It can stay without water for 1 month or more. And his hooves, it can reach the places of water if he wants to walk around and eat from the trees until its owner finds it. He says, don't touch the camel. If you see a wandering camel, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Another hadith, this is to do with not an animal, but to do with money. Ubay ibn Ka'ab radiallahu ta'ala an came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, Ya Rasulullah, I found a purse containing 100 dinars. 100 dinar, gold pieces. Huge money. Big money. So I went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and informed him about it. He said, make public announcement about it for 1 year. I did so. But nobody turned up to claim it. So again, I went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, Ya Rasulullah, what do I do now? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, do another public announcement for 1 more year. Because it's huge amount of money. We're talking about thousands of dollars. Or a bag of diamonds, bag of gold. What do you do? And he says, after that second year, I came again and asked. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, do another one. Until its owner comes. Give it to him, otherwise utilize it after 3 years. One of the ruwat, one of the sub-narrators of this particular hadith, Salama, rahimahullah, said, I met Suwaid, another sub-narrator, who narrated this hadith to him in Mecca, and he said, actually, I don't know whether Ubay ibn Ka'ab radiallahu anh made it the announcement for 3 years or just 1 year. I'm not really sure. Was it for 3 years or 1 year? I'm not really sure, he says. So many hadith like this give us those parameters to work with. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, fiqh says up to 1 year. Hanafi ahkam, Hanafi ruling. But Imam Shafi rahimahullah says minimum of 1 year. You need to, what do you call, make announcement. The luqata is also studied under 2 categories. One is, what if? What is to be done? What is the adab? If the owner one day shows up, or somebody who pretends to be an owner shows up with certain description of the item that you are describing, what do you do in that case? First, you ask for dalil, proof from the person. Excuse me, this is yours? Yep, I lost my what? I lost my watch, golden watch, Rolex watch. Okay, tell me, describe it to me. What kind of watch is it? It has a gold wrist. Okay, many of the Rolex watches have gold wrist, but he doesn't know the model. He doesn't know the what they call size, whether it is a male or female watch. He's got no description, but he gives a little bit more description, which is roundabout. He's trying to make up. If your heart is content with this particular person's description, you are mukhayyar. You are given, you have you have the option of either not to give it to him until he proves proper legal dalil that he has purchased it, and this is his name, and this is the license number, and this is his property, Until then, you can keep it, or if you think that maybe I don't want to keep it for long, and give it to him. You gave it to him. Now, there is another dilemma. What if after a month or so, somebody comes to you, the real owner, with all the certificates in his hand, with all the appropriate, dalils in his hand? Then what happens in that case? What happens to that particular person who took the watch or that particular item and gone away? The Sharia says if that person is found, can be found, the one who took the money away or took the article away, you will confiscate, you will take this property back from this person, and if it has damaged to something, he has to pay for it, or sold it, the money will be taken away from it. Secondly, if the person cannot be found, this is the most important point here. The person who found it and gave it to that person by mistake, not mistake, the wrong judgment in error in judgment, then that person will be made to pay for it, that lost property. So, all I'm saying to you is when you see something, don't take it from the ground. If there is a chance that somebody else is going to take it, because it's a very big trouble. Big trouble. If you made all the appropriate announcements and everybody knows about it, and yet nobody claimed it, and you went, actually, depending on the product that you have, it was perishable, for example, it was all depreciating as it goes, or perhaps a laptop or something, a computer, and you went and sold it with the permission of the Islamic magistrate, the Qadi. And you keep this money for that particular Muslim, so that inshallah, when he turns up, you said, this is the value of your property. And you give the money back to him. You're holding the money, the value, instead of the item itself. You can do this. You can definitely do this according to Sharia. If the man who turns up and says, okay, where is my property? I heard that you found it. He says, I sold it for you. He says, why did you sell it? I want my property. If he knows where he sold it to, he can go and claim his property because it has some sentimental value or something, a wedding ring or something. Or if he accepts the value that is being sold, the money, he also can take this. The owner, the original owner, has the option of choosing either of these. If, for example, you came to a person who found your property, and then you just realize that after so long, a year or so, depending on the urf, depending on the custom of the land, you realize that this person who found your property has sold it and used the money as a charity and gave it the money as a charity to the fuqara. Or he gave the property to the fuqara as a charity. In this case, the owner has two options. One is he would either accept that tasadduq, that sadaqah given by that person, and he will be the owner of the hasanat of that particular tasadduq, that particular sadaqah, that charity, which was given on his behalf. Or he can demand from the person, I want my property, or I want the money of it. So the person who made the tasadduq has to cough up the money for that particular person. What in the case where this property is not ever being claimed? Nobody came and claimed. No matter how much announcement that you made, nobody came and claimed. 1, 2, 3 years, whatever, however long. What do you do in that case? The first option is that you may continue to keep it for that person, perchance that somebody will come and claim it. The advertisements are everywhere. This is the first option. Secondly, if there is no claim, remember, in the case there is no claim, you can make tasadduq. You can give as a sadaqah charity this particular property that you found to the poor people who can use it and can benefit from this. Thirdly, if he cannot do any of these, he will take it and give it to the hakim, the judge, the magistrate, for him to deal with it. He's got nothing to do with me. Yes, it's your property now. And the hakim has to take it. The law has to take it. You give it to the police, in our case, and let the police deal with it, because you don't want to deal with it. Not everybody is lucky. Not everybody is honest. Recently I read in both it was on the internet as well as on one of the newspapers, that one Muslim taxi driver in New York picked up a lady who had a big bag in the briefcase with her, and after that, she dropped him somewhere, and he continued taking the customers. But at the end of the day, he just realized that she left that briefcase under the car, under the seat, and she has lost it. She doesn't know. And he opened up and looked at it. It is first class diamonds. We're talking about millions of dollars worth of diamonds in it. So he, from his memory, from where he dropped and where she was picked up, and he retraced her and finally found her and returned this particular briefcase to that person. She was just a courier person who works between two diamond jewelers in companies, and her life was in line. Her life was in line. When she found this, and of course this Muslim was wearing a beautiful taqiyya and a beautiful, the beard, and he was on the New York Times, which is the most inappropriate place for Muslims to be, because they never write anything positive about Muslims. That was the first ever positive article written about a Muslim from Indian subcontinent who returned the lost product, a found product, back to its owners. If he was a harami, if he was a non-Muslim, dishonest non-Muslim, he would have taken that diamonds, or he could have made millions of dollars. One ticket to richness, wealth, and opulence. But a true, honest Muslim never does anything as such. There's a question from the internet. You find money, say $20, on the floor. Do we give it to it as a donation to a good cause, or do we leave for another person who may use it on haram? Double-edged sword. If you find $20, okay, take it and give it to somebody as a sadaqah. If the person turns around and says, I lost $20 over there, I left my $20 over there, where's my $20? He said, oh, I took it, but I already spent it for other people. He says, come, here's your $20. $20 is nothing. Actually, Islamic law, I didn't want to go through the details. What is major and what is minor, what is valuable and what is not valuable. The valuable starts from 53 grams of silver, the worth of silver. In the olden days, this was a big money. But $60, $100, $200, whatever the case is these days, I have no idea what the value of silver is. But this is a money which is negligible money. $20, nobody's going to look after with, unless the person is a child, his bus fare or something, that he goes back and looking for his money. You know that it's his money. You come here. I gave it to the Salvation Army, or I gave it to the mosque, or I gave it to somewhere else. I gave it to another poor person. I know that it was your money. Come, you've been looking for your $20. A little kid, here's $20. You can do this. But you can't assume, on the other hand, that the person who's going to pick it up after you is a harami, is going to use it for haram. You don't know. It could be anybody. In this environment, could be an old lady who needs the money, or could be a student who needs the money, or anybody for that matter. It's a negligible amount. But if it's a large sum of amount, that the procedure that we went before must be followed. A big wallet with lots of credit cards and the big, amount of cash in it, you need to be very careful. You need to return to their owners. What if the luqata, the lost and found property, becomes damaged whilst in your possession? While you're keeping it, died. You took the little muffet from the corner, a little cat, and the cat, I'll look after, because there's a beautiful mark on it and everything else. You made all the announcements. Who's going to claim this bull terrier? Come and get it, for example. And the bull terrier is one of those loyal dogs that he didn't eat, he didn't sleep, no drink. He went on a diet, what they call the starvation diet, and after 2 days, just died. What are you going to do? Well, after 2 months, it's died. What are you going to do? And if the owner just turns up, or the computer that you found, so your child just dropped it and just smashed into pieces, or something that is of valuable, no, it's lost. The ring that you found is lost, diamond ring, is gone. One of your little kids took it to school and showed it in show and tell, it's gone, finished, khalas. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? This is the question. Firstly, we have to follow when we find something luqata, when we find a lost property, an article of any kind, we must follow that ishhad and i'lan process. We must have witnesses that we have found it. There are witnesses that we have found it. Secondly, we must announce it publicly on different occasions, different places for a certain period of time according to urf. If you were to damage the property that you found unintentionally, without any ill intention in your heart, and if the founder, the owner came around and he said, this is my property, where is my property? I didn't do anything, just blew up. The engine or whatever, the car, whatever it was, it just blew up or just died, it just perished. Gone rotten. You came for the watermelon and it's gone after 2 weeks. What am I going to do? I didn't do anything. It's not my doing. In this case, the Sharia will not ask the man who found it to pay anything, because there is no ill intention involved. There is no qasd. There is no ill intention involved. But if you did not follow the proper procedure in the first place of ishhad and i'lan, in other words, you did not get any witnesses, or you did not, make the appropriate announcement, in that case, you need to pay. If he comes and claims, you need to pay. But if you did not find anybody who would become a witness, because you are just in the middle of the road, you go to Sydney or something, there is nobody on the road, and you just took it. You just took that little kitten with a beautiful purebred dog or something of some kind with a little collar, and you just want to give it to the people, right? There is no witness. If something happens to that animal, there is no compensation to be paid to the owner if the owner shows up. Let me look at it from a different perspective. If somebody came to you and claimed his property that you found, you don't want to give it to him because you got used to it now. You're actually using it a little bit. Without any excuse, you don't want to give it to him. In this case, the owner can sue you, can go to the magistrate, qadi, and complain about you. This happened many a times in the Islamic history. For example, Ali karramallahu wajha was walking on the street, and he saw one Yahudi, a Jew, carrying his shield, beautiful shield. That's Ali karramallahu wajha's shield, everybody knows. He says, this is mine. This is mine. He says, no, that's mine. No, that's mine. Mine and yours, mine and yours. They're having an argument. He says, let's go to the court. Because he knows, the Yahudi knows what the truth is, but he's denying it. So Ali karramallahu wajha sued the person, took him to the court. And in the court, he sat in front of the qadi. And qadi ruled in favor of the Jew. Because Ali karramallahu wajha, who was the Khalifa at that time, did not have enough evidence in his hand that it was his. That he lost it. He doesn't know where it was, but just turned about in the person's hand. Due to lack of evidence, the qadi says the Jew has the ownership of this. When he heard this, the Jew, he says, hold on. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, he's sitting next to him, the plaintiff, and he's the defendant. He says, I firstly apologize. This is yours. Few weeks back, you were traveling, and this particular shield fell off from your horse, and I picked it up. But I just wanted to see the justice system of the Muslims. The Amir al-Mu'mineen, the president of the country, is sitting in front of his own qadi, his own judge, Supreme Court judge, magistrate, and the magistrate is ruling against the judge. Against the who? Against the president of the country. He says, this is the perfect religion. Be witness that ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. He becomes a Muslim. Yep, you can. If the person is misappropriated, use his property, and he doesn't want to give it to you knowingly, then you can sue this person and get your property back off the person. What if the property that you begin to use, it's one of those utilizable, usable properties that you found? For example, there's a laptop without a, any password on it. You like the laptop? You're looking for a laptop anyway, or your kid wants one. You gave it to your kid. And in the meantime, you're making lots of announcements that, I've got a laptop, but it's been in use for 6 months, 7 months. After 12 months, the laptop is rubbish. If it's a PC in particular, it's all depreciated, gone. When the guy turns up, he says, this was a brand new computer. Look what you've done to it. In the olden days, could be a horse, could be a camel, could be anything that is usable, that you can ride on, so to speak. In this case, the owner can either take the property as is, because he's happy to find his property, or make him pay the difference for his using this computer. If in the case of a laptop, he has to pay the full value, because after the 2 years, 12 months, it's all fully depreciated and it's all gone rubbish anyway. Who looks after? Who pays for the expenditure of looking after, preserving, looking after a found property? If that property it demands looking after, who pays for it? Islamic law says if it's the found property, the thing, article, an object is of animal type. If it's of the haywanat, then all the expenditure, the food, the feeding, the immunization, whatever that you expect the money spent on that particular animal to look after. If it's a dog, if it's a cat, for example, then you can claim all of these expenses from its owner when it comes. You have this particular option for yourself. You can do this. But the person the owner, when he turns up, he should pay for it anyway. This is what being a good human being requires. هَلْ جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ. The person was kind enough to look after your animal that you lost, your horse that you lost, your property that you lost, that it's appropriate for you to pay for the expenses. The man was looking after it for 2 months, 3 months from his own pocket. So you're supposed to pay for it. If the animal, again, is one of those types of animals that you can use in making money. For example, it's a big ox that you can give it to people in the paddock to use it, on rent. So they can use it in their paddocks. In this case, there are a few options. If this particular activity for that ox, for example, that big animal in the field, is better for its owner, the hakim, the judge, will command the person who has found it to do this so. He says, listen, if the animal just sits there and eats and sits and eats, doesn't do anything, it becomes useless. So this is a working animal. Therefore, take this animal and give it to those people with my permission, and all the money you save it. All the money you save it, and this money to be returned to the owner when it comes. Because we need to utilize this animal. This is part of our economics. But if it's something that is of goat, sheep, a small animal, farm animal, in that case, if the animal eats more than it's worth, the animal is about $20, you've been feeding it with expensive fodder, so to speak, for the last 2 years, it's going to cost you 3 times the amount of, the animal itself. In that case, with the permission of the qadi, you can sell that particular goat to somebody else and keep the money for the owner when he comes, and you give the money to him. Because I can't afford to look after him, therefore this is the money for it. This is the money for it. No problem. Another point that you must understand, which you are expecting, one of the questions that you're asking, that do we deserve, and Islamically can we legally ask for a reward if we found somebody's property, then when they come to collect it from us? For example, I found somebody's big wallet, mashallah, full of money in it. And his address is there, his telephone number is there, I ring him up. Young man, I found your car keys as well as your wallet. Come and get it, I'm here. Okay, no problem. He comes and he's so happy, he's so thankful to you, grateful to you. And you say, okay, what's next? What does that mean? You can't ask for any money, any reward for that person. In the Sharia, you cannot ask, because what you're doing is what a normal human being is supposed to do. This is honesty, husn al-khuluq. Husn al-khuluq. But if it cost you, different story, you can claim for that cost. Not a problem. For example, if you took that wallet to that particular person by car, he says, get into a taxi and come here immediately. And you got into a taxi, and taxi costs you $55. Then you can ask for the $55 if you want to. If you don't want to, up to you. But anything other than this $55, returning the taxi fare that you've taken to take his wallet to him, lost property, you cannot ask for any money. This will be regarded as a tabarru', as a sadaqah, as a charity that you do to that person, an act of kindness. However, the person who, not the founder, the owner, if he gives money to you out of his, goodness of his heart, this is halal money to take. He says, here, my gift to you, even $500. This particular item in it was to me worth my life. Why? It was a gift from my deceased mother. It's a family loom that we've been keeping for generations. He says, it may not be anything, but the sentimental value to me is millions of dollars. Here's $5,000 for you as a gift. Subhanallah, you're happy. Or the guy made some announcements also. He's making announcements, reward, reward, reward. And you claim that reward, it's also halal. Not a problem. How about the question of non-Muslims who are living in Muslim countries, the dhimmis. What if the found item belongs to one of those people? You know that it belongs to them. What do? It's something that they use, something they are famous for using. No Muslim will ever touch this. Right? So what do you do in this case? It is incumbent upon the Muslim to take this to Baytul Mal, the public trust, the fund, public treasury, Baytul Mal. Give it to the Islamic government, the officials. And if the owner, a dhimmi, a Christian or a Jew who lives under Islamic rule, they go and claim this, they can claim it. If it was given to somebody else, or sold for that matter, he can also claim the full amount, full value of that particular property that he has lost. Not a problem. However, this is the ruling in Hanafi school of thought. According to the Malikis, a dhimmi's property, if you found it, you should give it to their priests. You should go to a church and say, I found something of yours. One of your parishioners lost this one. Please take it and found its owner. It is more appropriate for them to do. Like when we lose something, when we found something, where do we make i'lan? Where do we make announcement? In the mosques and the markets, where the Muslims frequent a lot. Similarly, a Jew and a Christian will go to his priest or his church, or a Jew will go to his synagogue or his rabbi. So you go and give it to them. This act of kindness, a Muslim should do so. Other frequently asked questions, masail on luqata. If you found an animal, a pet animal, belonging to somebody, on the outskirts of the city or somewhere there is no other dwelling, a budgie, a cockatoo, or not a cockatoo, cockatoo, no? Cockatoo, not kookaburra, cockatoo, or some dog or some cat, gorgeous looking. He says, oh, come here. It's going meow, meow, stuck in the road on the tree or something. You just got it. And you look at it, yep, okay. Or a goat, or, a llama, maybe, whatever it is. Or a deer. Or perhaps a falcon, if you lived during those days, with the appropriate tags on it. You still need to make ishhad and i'lan. You need to have witnesses, and you need to make appropriate announcement for full duration of what? Full year minimum, according to Shafi'i. Because these animals, because the stuff that they have around their necks or on their legs sometimes is an indicator that these are domestic animals, domesticated animals. These are not animals that is wild. If you see a falcon, if you catch a falcon and there is nothing just fighting with you, there is no any marking on the feet or anything as such, ownership of any kind. You found a feral cat, you don't have to make an announcement. Feral cat is a feral cat. Although also you like the kitten, it doesn't belong to anybody. But if it has, especially in this day and age, they have microchip on their they insert it in their necks, the cats and the dogs. And then you can actually go to the council, very easy, and say, I've found a cat, it has a collar, can you please find the owner for me? And if this cat has a microchip, immediately they say scan it and say, yep, owner lives in such and such address. You can go and return it to do the right thing as a good Muslim citizen, inshallah ta'ala. There is another sickness amongst the Muslims. Some people actually keep pigeons on the top of their roofs and other places. And this is a big game. They raise pigeons. I recently met somebody. I spent 3.5 hours with him. I only spoke for maybe 1.5 minutes. How are you? How's it going? And how's everything else? And how are the children? And I listened for 3.5 hours his pigeon stories. This is an obsession with some people. What if you're one of those people who keep pigeons? And every now and then some foreign pigeon that your male or female pigeon got and fetched came into your possession, came into your roof, and you know that you can catch. Special breed also. It is not halal to take this pigeon. It's not halal to keep this pigeon. You need to do the same i'lan and same ishhad. You need to return it back to their owners. It's only a pigeon, man. No pigeon or no pigeon. Some pigeons are very expensive pigeons. I learned so many things about pigeons. If I talk about pigeons, we'll have another lecture for 2.5 hours. So I'm not going to talk about pigeons. If, for example, you were trying to catch in the wild some birds or some other animals, edible animals, you set up some traps and something else. When you came back, they're all there. And if you made the intention of catching this is called hunting, and you take the full possession of You're the malik, you're the owner of this. But if you just put there and just happen to just fall into your net, and so many of them, and the people with you can also jump at it and says, oh, I got some, I got some, I got some, you can share it. You don't have to do any luqata, you don't have to do any i'lan or what do you call ishad for this one. Right? This is yours to consume. If you bought a house, and whilst cleaning the house, you just took over, you signed the papers, and everybody else is happy, the law is happy, you're happy, you made the settlement, not a problem. While you're going through certain things, one of the little closets or some little wooden plank hidden somewhere, while you're changing the paint job and opened up, there's a big pot of gold, not a gold, okay, money, a little, maybe a safe that people have forgotten about, and opened up, there are some expensive stuff in it. What do you do in this regard? Or just the wallet in the corner. If you inform the owner, is this yours? If he says, yes, it's mine. I forgot, completely forgotten about, that belongs to my grandfather, and he has hidden it for me, but I forgot about it. It was 20 years ago. And he said that, you opened up 20 years after, when you grow up, when you finish uni or something. So in that case, he has full claim to that particular property. That particular property. What if the owner says, it's not mine? I have no idea. What do? Do you keep on making i'lan, making announcement, or putting advertising, I got gold in my land, come and get it? No, you don't do this. That is perhaps halal for you. You can use it, or you can make tasadduq to anything that you wish. What if you're sitting next to a river, and all of a sudden, some fruits that belonging to some orchards up ahead, coming your way. Some perhaps quince fruits, some apples, some pears, some beautiful, oranges, mandarins. What do? These are things that has not much value in the sight of people. Therefore, it is appropriate, it's halal for you to take it and eat it, consume it, if it's consumable. If it's some bits and pieces of wood that doesn't look like anything, just a wood, like wood that you burn in fire, nothing cut, nothing. It's not like the timber that is properly cut and used for other things. If it's not a timber type that it is properly done for building industry or carpenters, if it's just a normal wood, you can also take this wood and you can utilize it for your benefit, because it's regarded as crown land. It just comes through. But however, this story of Abu Hanifa rahimahullah is quite interesting for us. He was sitting at the river bank and he saw a beautiful red apple just floating towards him. He took it, wow, crunchy, Fuji, a pink lady, I don't know what it was, Granny Smith, it was red. And he took one bite, just one bite, one morsel. Remember the morsel? The hadith that we mentioned before? One morsel. And all of a sudden it hit him. He said, oh no, I ate this fruit without the owner's permission. I wonder who the owner is. Maybe he will not make it halal for me. Maybe he was intending to collect them afterwards. Maybe he's thinking, this young man, gorgeous, handsome, good-looking man, Abu Hanifa, when he was young, in his youth. So he started walking up, logically, upstream, until he saw that apple tree that is leaning on the water, and the apples are over the water. He said, this must be it, because there is no other apple tree around. So he just walks over, and he sees that it's a farm, a field. Then he sees an old man working in the farm. He said, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam, young man. What's up? He's got the half an apple in his hand. He says, sir, I think this apple belongs to you. I was down at the downstream. I didn't know it was belonged to you, and I picked it up from the water, and I just had a bite. Please make your halal. Make your haqq halal to me. Make your haqq halal to me. The old man looked at him like this. He says, nah, not halal for you. This is the worst thing you can say to a Muslim. The worst. My haqq not halal to you. Because on the day of judgment, he's going to cop it. Very bad. He says, sir, let me pay for it. He says, no, why did you eat it? Your fault. Who gave you permission to eat it? Subhanallah. No, he doesn't want to, what do you call? Take the money. He says, what do I have to do to make you, what do you call, your haqq halal to me? He says, simple, work for me for a while. Come and help me, I need some help. Yeah, okay, I'll help you, no problem, I can do that. Bismillah, start working in the field. How long? Commentators on Manaqib of Abu Hanifa, they say he worked for 7 years. 7 years. And after 7 years, the man said, one more condition. Please, let me go. 7 years I worked for you for nothing, just for an apple. A bite of an apple. Halal luqma. He said, well, I am in a bit of a predicament, a dilemma. I have a daughter, but nobody wants to marry her because she is bedridden, absolutely disabled. She is blind, she is deaf and mute, crippled, she can't walk. But she's a human being. Nobody will marry her. Nobody will marry her. He says, okay. If you marry her, I will, what do you call? Make my haqq halal to you. Release you. He said, okay. He got married. He never saw the girl. The first night, after nikah, father is the wakil, he never saw the girl. So he went into the room and came out of the room. He says, sir, there is a mistake. He says, what's wrong? Because he's expecting a crippled lady, a blind lady, an ugly lady, who is what you call completely off-putting. A disabled person. And he sees somebody who's most gorgeous, most beautiful. He says, sir, there is a mistake. There is a lady in there. He says, yes, my son. She's your wife. She's my daughter. How? I did not lie to you. I told you that she's blind because she never looked at haram in her life. I told you that she's mute. She never spoke any ghiba or haram in her life. I told you that she was deaf because she never heard any haram in her life. I told you that she was crippled because she never went to any haram places in her life. She's your halal and she's your. I have made my haqq halal to you a long time ago, but I wanted to test your character. Actually, this is not Abu Hanifa. This is Abu Hanifa's father, Nu'man. Nu'man, rahmahullah. And from this marriage with this so-called crippled lady, turned out to be the most beautiful lady in the world, was born the great Imam Abu Hanifa, rahmahullah. So, this is the one story, but Islamically, in terms of our fiqh, if you found a fruit floating that is edible, that is something that is what you call eatable, you can take it and eat it, what you call nothing will happen to you. This is okay. But if you want to keep away and let the apple float, let it float, if you remember the story or something. Okay. If you found some old wood, dead wood, in a cemetery of Muslims, it is halal for you to take it. They just put some people dead wood on the corner. Nobody's using it. Says, oh, I can use that in my barbecue. You're going to take it. It's a lost property. You take it. But you are not allowed to touch any still green the trees from the cemetery, because maybe it's a tree that's on top of the grave or somewhere. You cannot go and cut the trees in the cemetery and come and bring it home and use it. This is not allowed to do so. This is makruh to do so. What if you lost your shoes in the mosque? I'm using the word lost with precaution. It happens sometimes. I come out the other day, one of my beautiful Crocker shoes or Nike shoes, not there. Something looks very similar to mine is there. So what do? Somebody actually took my new ones and left his old ones there. I'm not talking about somebody stealing your shoes and going away. We're not talking about this one. We're talking about somebody by mistake took your shoes and you're left with shoes that belongs to somebody else. What do? You can wear them, but you need to make an announcement for people to return the shoes. Or when you went home, you realized that you took somebody else's shoes by mistake, which is more valuable than yours. You immediately return the shoes back and say, I have taken this shoe or this jacket or this hijab by mistake, the coat by mistake. This is not mine and I want to return it back. You must do this to the same people, the same place. And you need to make that announcement also if nobody claims for that duration, the duration that is stipulated in the Sharia. If you were to hold something in your hand without you owning it, you know deliberately whom it belongs to. In other words, somebody came and claimed before and you did not give it to them, if in the case of luqata, or in the case of that you have cheated somebody and you have their property in your possession. And this person is dead, gone, or something happened to them. In that case, ulama say, firstly you must make tawbah. Okay? There is no way that you can return this property back to the person again because the person is no longer there. They moved on. They moved to another city, another state, another country. They left the place. Or they did. They went to the other real country, the hereafter, akhirah. Then in that case, what do? In that case, the first thing that you have to do is lots of tawbah and istighfar. Ask for forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you were to sell this property or just give this property as a charity to the fuqara, this is accepted, and you send this hasanat, the yielded from this particular charitable act, to that person, this is permissible to do so. And it is hoped in akhirah, on the day of judgment, you will be off the hook. Because you made tawbah and you have returned, you made sadaqah. You have on his behalf, not a problem. But you still are in possession of this, or you sold it, gave sadaqah, and all of a sudden the person turned up and you saw him, he's back in the country again. After 20 years of spending time in Egypt, he turns up in Melbourne again. He says, oh no, him. All right. You approach him and tell him the situation and return the value of that particular property that you have taken from him. Unless you fix this huquq al-ibad, the rights of the other human beings, you will not be a good Muslim and you will cop it on the day of judgment. Wallahi al-azim. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, who is a bankrupt person? Everybody says a bankrupt person is a person who lost his capital in a business venture. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam smiles and he says, this is your understanding of bankruptcy. The real bankrupt person is a person who comes before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment with hasanat, with reward bigger than Mount Uhud. And yet, he gets off the hook from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's court. The issues that is dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, between himself and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no problems. Allah says, I forgive you. You did your salat, you this. No problem. And the malaika come, they want to take him to Jannah. He has to go over the sirat. Before this, he hears name being called out. By whom? He looks around and he sees thousands of people running towards him. He says, where you going? He says, what? You come to congratulate me? He says, no. What congratulate? Remember, you have a haqq. You have cheated our rights before. You've taken, misappropriated our property before. You've taken things from us before without your due. You did not deserve this and you took it from us. You hurt me. All the huquq al-ibad, all the rights of other human beings. He says, okay, what do you want? He says, what else do I want? I want some of your hasanat. How much? I'm in the red. He says, until I'm in the black. He says, I want all the hasanat from you. Okay, couple of million gone to him. Next, there is somebody else. He says, what do you want? The same thing. Remember you did this to me when I was young? You bullied me, you cheated me, you hurt me, you slandered my name. Yep. You always sarcastically teased me. You have killed my self-confidence in me. I was the nerd in the school just because of you. Just because I was fat or something, that you called me the fatso. All these people are waiting in the queue. And until such time that all these hasanat is completely gone, his capital, reward, and he's got with nothing left. But the people are still waiting in the queue. He says, come on man, I don't have anything else to give you. You get lost. He says, nah, we've got something to give you. I'm in the black, I'm in the red. I want to give all my, what do you call? The hasanat, not hasanat, my sins towards you. So I am in the black again. So they transfer all that bad debits, the bad, what do you call, his sins back onto you. So this person who just left the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a state that is most favorable, turns out to be a person who is going to be most despicable, where the malaika of angels of Jannah leave him and the other angels of Jahannam come and says, sir, you're under arrest, we're going to Jahannam. This is called a bankrupt person. Huquq al-ibad is something that is not lightly taken in Islam. Your tawbah can never be truly accepted if you do not make things right with other people. One of the mashayikh, I was listening to him, he says, some people came to him and made tawbah and made bay'ah to him, but they said, we have got a very dark past. What kind of a past you had? He says, we were really acute businessmen, smart businessmen. We cheated many people. We sold so many faulty products to people, which was only $2. We sold it for, what do you call it, $200 to people. And by the thousands we sold. But we got all the names and addresses of these people, as well as the people we don't know. The Shaykh said, your tawbah can never be accepted until you make things right with all these people. But they're non-Muslims, regardless. He says, next 2 years, day and night, they send letters upon letters. They rang so many people through from their yellow pages to white pages, matching names, the people who moved on. This is 10 years before they did this. Sir, is your name such and such? Can you recall that you bought a such and such product from us? Yes, we did. Okay, how did you find the product? It was disgusting, it was a false, it was a fraud, it was a lemon. He says, it was me who did it, sir. I would like to pay you your money back, and please forgive me. He did this humiliating experience or exercise for 2 years, he says, until he covered the whole Melbourne or whole the city that he was in. Because he's got no leg to stand on the day of judgment, and his tawbah will not be accepted if he does not do things right with the other people. So when you find somebody's property, knowingly you appropriate it for yourself and put it in your pocket, and keep it and use it, which you know 100% that it is not yours, it belongs to a fellow Muslim who's been looking for it and who's been suffering from it as a result, you will be questioned on the day of judgment. I think I have overdone the luqata subject. If there are any questions, I'm willing to entertain. Yes, there is a question. Two questions.
Yeah, I apologize if you've already covered because I came late. The first question is about something that you find that's predominantly used for haram. Like, for example, a dog, you find a dog, and the owner approaches you and wants it back. Are you allowed to give it to them?
Predominantly used for haram, a dog. Yeah. In what way a dog is used for predominantly haram? A racing dog?
No. For example, owning the dog. I mean, the majority of scholars say that owning the dog, except for certain purposes,
Yes, but still it's not haram to own a dog. It is, what do you call? As a guard dog, as a something that look after your sheep, look after your property and all. This is, the Sharia gives permission to. But if you found somebody's, what do you call, racing dog, you know those greyhounds they have? Okay, he's going to use it for haram. Who's using it? Muslim or non-Muslim? If it's a non-Muslim, you just give it to him because it's not your property. You don't even touch the dog in the first place. Go walk away.
Yeah. Okay, the second question is concerning, you said that if someone has a right over you and they pass away, then on the day of judgment they'll come and take their right. I remember reading a hadith many, many years ago concerning a man who killed 99 men.
Yes.
Yeah, and we see from the hadith that in the end he traveled to a different city and he died halfway and he was forgiven. So how do you reconcile that with?
Very simple. This is a case. This is a man who killed 99 men in time of Bani Israel, long time ago. And he went and saw a particular priest. And he said, what am I going to do? He says, God will never forgive you. And he killed that priest too. Made it 100. So he was still looking for an answer. And somebody said to him, the answer belongs to around that mountain over there, which is in the hadith of Rasulullah or the other city. If you go and see such and such person, he will tell you that there is a way for you. There is a way out for you. So when he was traveling there, he died in the middle somewhere. And the angels of Jahannam came to collect him. And angels of Jannah also came to collect him. And of course, Jibreel alayhi salam or some other angel came and says, hold on. We need to measure this distance. If he's closer to this area of Tawbah, that he's going to be forgiven, he says he will be taken by the people of Jannah, the angels of Jannah. If it's still close to this side, he says, you can take it for Jahannam. So when they measured, it was just one span over to the other side. The actual story emphasizes the importance of making Tawbah. Okay? This is not to do with huquq al-ibad. The rights of others, if this was that easy, every Muslim who does all the wrongdoing things would think in the back of his mind, I'll make tawbah afterwards and I'll be all right. Okay? This doesn't work. Huquq al-ibad, there are two mahkama on the Day of Judgment. One mahkama, one court is Malik Yawmiddin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His court. He will be asked about whether he's done his salat, he has how he earned his living, he did his fasting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask the things that is regarding himself, between him and the abd. And this is over, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will let him go. But he cannot go to Jannah yet. He has to go through another court with other makhluqat, other creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the people, the people who lived with you, it says, ulama say, even a person who came to open a door for you when you're walking into the supermarket or coming out of the supermarket, they're just courteous. And they just open the door for you so you can get as a courtesy. And you said, thank you, and walked away. On the Day of Judgment, this person, the other person who opened the door for you, will be so desperate for hasanat, he will come and say, I have haqq on you. Why? You opened the door for me. I opened the door for you. Give me something. This is how delicate the situation is on the Day of Judgment. If you had animals that you looked after and you have mistreated the animals, you have a dog you did not feed, you had a fish you did not feed, you had a bird you did not feed, you had pets you did not look after, and they died as a result. As Rasulullah says in the Sahih Hadith, one lady went to Jahannam who was, mashallah, used to fast during the days and pray all night because something that her cat did something wrong. And she has prisoned the cat, and the cat died as a result. She went to Jahannam. Makes sense? Cruelty to animals, cruelty to other people. These are all part of our Sharia. Huquq al-ibad is not just you can get off the hook. Off the hook. This is a misunderstanding. Yes, Tawbah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is At-Tawwab Rahim, Sattar al-Uyub, Ghafar al-Dhunub. We believe in this. Arhamur Rahimin. Not a problem. No matter how bad you are, there is still an opening for you because you did not commit shirk. There is an opening for you. But this does not guarantee you that you shall be forgiven. And these people will let you off the hook on the Day of Judgment because they have the right to claim against you.
Does this also apply to people who accept Islam? I'm sorry, this is the third question. Does this also apply to people who accept Islam? So someone who enters Islam and you say, even though they've oppressed many people before, we know people like Khalid ibn Walid was responsible for the murder of many of the companions. When he entered Islam, he became someone who was great for Islam. So what's the thing there? Are they forgiven for that?
If according to our deen, anything that a non-Muslim did before is completely wiped off. The sins are wiped off. Sins are wiped off. But in terms of huquq al-ibad, in terms of something that you have still in your possession, as a non-Muslim, that you have taken inappropriately from somebody, you need to return these. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, hasana is something that makes you feel good. And the sin is something that really eats you away inside. When you do something wrong, wrong is a wrong whether you're Muslim or a non-Muslim. Wrong is always wrong because our heart will reject it. If you did something really stupid, something you have, there's certain things that you cannot help with. I mean, you did not know better. This was a normal practice in your culture and you did it anyway, even to each other. Amongst the Aussies, for example, if you're not sarcastic enough, if you don't tease people enough, you're not a good Aussie. You need to be very quick-witted and you have to tell people, just before they say anything, you have to put them down. Right? The guy says something nice, something good. He says, quick, give me the yellow pages. He says, what for? He says, I'm going to call the carpenter and the builder. He says, why? So they can remove this roof. He says, why? Because he's getting a big head. Aussie way of being sarcastic. But this is haram in Islam. He didn't know. Yes, he has taken the haqq of those people. He has hurt the feelings of the other person. But he didn't know. So these type of things are all forgiven. But there are obviously, you've stolen a car, 10 cars, and you're dealing in drugs. You got some of the people's money. You got some of the stuff. You need to return all the property back to the owners in order to have a clean slate in this sense. Otherwise, you can say, okay, I do my last robbing, inshallah, of the bank. I've got a couple of $1 million. I go become a Muslim, inshallah, everything is fine. That doesn't work also. Jazakumullah khair jazak. We have gone much over our time. If there are any questions, ahlan wa sahlan. If not, inshallah, we make a closing dua and finish it for the evening. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله حمدا كاملين والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. يا رب العالمين يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. Please increase our beneficial knowledge. علما نافعا. Please increase our Islamic practice, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Rabbi, please cure our hearts. Cleanse our hearts, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen, allow us to dominate and control and make tazkiyah of our nafsul ammara, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Turn our akhlaq into a husn al-khuluq, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Take out all the blameworthy attributes from our heart and put the praiseworthy attributes into our hearts, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Let us acquire proper knowledge, Ya Rabbil Alameen, of our fiqh, of hadith, of Quran, of tafsir. That is beneficial to our practice, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Rahman Rahimeen, let us be amongst the sadiqeen, salihin, siddiqeen, and shuhada, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-huda wal-tuqa wal-afafa wal-ghina. اللهم إنا نسألك عفو والعافية في الدين والدنيا والآخرة توفنا مسلما والحقنا بالصالحين اللهم اجعلنا من التوابين واجعلنا من المتطهرين واجعلنا من عبادك الصالحين واجعلنا من الذين لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون يا أرحم الراحمين يا ذا الجلال والإكرام سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والحمد لله رب العالمين الفاتحة.